Hi everybody, welcome to the show. Hello everyone, welcome back to Raising A to Z. My name is Amanda and I am the mom who is a teacher turned homeschooler. And today we're doing a video that was a request. We had a lot of people who have asked us about how are we handling socialization with our homeschoolers in the middle of COVID. But before we do that, if you guys could take a minute and subscribe and then click the bell to get notifications. That way you know every time we put out one of these amazing videos. Let's jump in. How are we handling homeschooling and socialization when it comes to COVID? We've had a lot of people who have asked us, like, do you think we're doing too much? Do you think we're not doing enough? And one mom in particular, she reached out and she was commenting on how, do you think that doing 5 or 6 Zoom classes a week is enough socialization? And so she kind of was talking, she was giving us this list of different classes her kids were taking, scouts and karate and an art class and different things. And she was saying she's like, do you think this is enough socialization? My kid doesn't really seem into it. And we know socialization is such a tricky concept. It's such a tricky topic because it is like the number one thing that we talk about and the number one question that we get asked when it comes to homeschooling. Like, people ask us, like, what about socialization? What are your kids doing? Like, how are they making friends? How do they have normal social lives? Like, socialization, it is the thing that people ask us so much. And yes, I've talked about it. It's almost to the point where it's annoying, but because of COVID, obviously the rules of socialization have changed a lot for us right now. And so there's a lot of ways that it's just different. We do have a video all about socialization and all the ways that we do socialize our kids when it is not COVID. And you can check that out if you're looking for like different ideas and the truth behind socialization and all that. We'll put that video up here. But socialization is generally not an issue when it comes to homeschooling. So let's just start right there. It is not an issue. But thanks to COVID, things are a little bit different right now. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about how COVID has made things a little bit different. For example, at the filming of this video, we're in complete lockdown. We are living in Ontario. We are in complete lockdown where we are. And so obviously socializing our kids with other people is frowned upon and actually not even allowed. So what are we going to be doing about socialization? First off, something I want to let everyone know is your kids don't need as much socialization as you probably think they do. A lot of people seem to believe that because public school kids are with other kids all day, that they are learning this massive amount of unspoken social cues and things like that. They're really, really not. Like, if you think about it, how many times are you told to, shh, it's not time to socialize while you're at school? It's a lot. Outside of perhaps a little bit of group work, really the only time that kids are actually socializing and working on social skills is recess. So your kids aren't even get that much socialization at school. But when it comes to homeschooling, because people are afraid of their kids not being socialized and not being socially prepared, they tend to worry so much about it that they almost overschedule their kids. Like this mom who had her kids signed up for 5 or 6 different Zoom classes. That's a lot. That's a lot of time and activities that are taking up a lot of time in your day. The other thing I want to point out is that for the most part, Zoom classes aren't really socialization. It's kind of like the school thing where like there's a lesson going on and you're kind of supposed to sit there and watch or do your own thing. You're not really learning socialization. For younger kids, the key to socialization is not so much just the talking with people, it is actually the physical interactions with people. It is the sharing of their toys. It is making up games together. It's coming up with what the rules of those games are going to be. It's dealing with the situation when people don't follow the rules of their game, or when there's a fight or a disagreement. Those are all things that typically young kids do in person and physically close to each other. You're not really getting that over Zoom. If your kid is doing a Zoom ballet class, for example, there is a teacher there. That teacher is showing your child how to do the steps. Your child isn't even really speaking to the other kids in the class. And if they don't have a personal relationship with the other kids in the class, you're not really getting socialization in that sense. Kids don't really learn by osmosis. They don't really learn that much through just observing other random kids on a video screen. So you don't need to sign your kids up for a whole bunch of Zoom classes thinking they're going to get more socialized. It's not. If anything, you're going to just have a kid who's overtired, overscheduled, and really annoyed because these classes are interfering with what could be their free playtime. What do you do in COVID? When we weren't in lockdown, when we were in the green zone, we would actually kind of bubble with a couple other families. So we had 2 or 3 other families that we knew that this is who our kids were hanging out with, and we just really limited our contact to families beyond that, so that our kids had people to play with. We would get together on like a play date and in a small group. So for example, our main people were the girls' cousins. We had 2 sets of cousins that lived nearby, and so we would see one cousin one day and then we'd see another cousin the other day, and that was pretty much like our kid time with other families. And that's who our kids saw, and that's who they will probably be their main buddies and play like in-person playmates for a little while. By bubbling with a family or even 2 families, our kids are still getting out like maybe once or twice a week to see kids around their own age, but we know like it's limited. We know how, like the contact of it, it's not overwhelming with how many people they're seeing, and so it's a little bit safer in that sense. So if you can, I recommend that you find, like I said, 1 or 2 families that you feel comfortable having your kids interact with, and that's it, and like just hang out with just them. It can be like an hour or 2 on a regular basis, once a week or whatever. Bonus if you can have the mom over, and then you could have someone to talk to too. I also want to point out that it's okay to bubble with families who have kids who are not exactly the same age as your kids. We luck out that my brother's kids are very close in age to ours. My nephew is only a couple weeks older than Alexi. My niece is a couple weeks older than Zoe. And so yes, they are very close in age. They are very similar, and they get to kind of hang out with some of their own age. But that doesn't mean that they couldn't hang out with somebody else. So for example, my other sister-in-law has kids who are quite a bit younger. That's okay, because when you're interacting with kids who are older or younger than your own, they're learning different skills. So older kids, they're learning some more mature behaviors and skills. When they're younger, they're actually showing those little kids how to behave, but they're also learning how to take care and how to be gentle around children who are younger than them. So you're interacting with a whole bunch of different age groups. If that's all you can do, that's great. That's actually probably better than just being with the kids exactly the same age as your own, because you're learning more social skills and fewer interactions because you have a bigger age gap. Another thing that people often underestimate is that it doesn't have to be kids. For us, we also have we live in an area where we have a lot of family. Luckily, we don't have a lot of COVID cases, and we have a lot of family. My brother and his family live down the street this way. My sister-in-law, Stefan's sister, lives down the street that way. We also have my parents who also live down the street, as well as Stefan's parents who live it's like a 10-minute drive. So we have like a lot of opportunities to see our families because they're so close. So it is often that our kids get to interact with their grandparents, whether it's through childcare or just, they stop by. And people really underestimate the benefits of spending time with extended family. The educational benefits that come with spending time with extended family, the social benefits that come with spending time with an older generation, like older than us, right? So like, for example, Stefan's mom is French Canadian, hardcore, and she really promotes the French Canadian culture with our kids. She is predominantly the one who speaks French with them. She does French lessons sometimes if she stops by, and so that is a great way for the kids to learn something, and it's by hanging out with their family. And they're learning all kinds of things from people who are older than they are. And that is still socialization. Socialization is just learning to interact with different people in different settings and how to do it appropriately. And so that is a great way to add some socialization to your day if you can. Again, while it's safe and within the parameters of COVID, interacting with older generations or extended family. I do think Zoom works quite well with kids if they know who the other person is, and they're able to interact with them. So like our kids love to FaceTime Grammy. They think that's so much fun. They love to talk to her and see what she's doing, see her dogs, tell her about everything that's going on. They like to have her tell them everything that's happening with them. And they, that's socialization that you can do from a distance. But I think the key there is that this is someone that they know and that they have an ongoing relationship with. And I think that's different than like a class where it's just like a random teacher and some random kids who just happen to be on the screen. So I think that's the key, is that it's like a clear relationship that they already have. So our kids, like sometimes they Zoom or FaceTime Grammy. They also FaceTime their Auntie Bean, who's my sister, who lives quite far away. And it's great. Those are different ways that you can definitely have socialization with your family. And I think that's a great way to start, especially when you have young kids. It's a great way to really build your strong family unit and put such an emphasis on family when your family becomes like such an integral part of their social circle. It's actually really fantastic. So don't underestimate the importance of family, and don't underestimate the importance of building family bonds as a key form of socialization. And lastly, for us, one of the things that we have been doing consistently is getting outside. A lot of areas have lower restrictions on outdoor activity. Often for like where we are, for a long time it was you could have up to 25 people outside. And so we were actually able to get together with a couple of families in an outdoor setting and hang out with them. So we were able to go to the park, and we would actually, for a long time, we were doing play groups at the park where we were meeting up with 4 or 5 different families at the park. And we were just, not exceeding the recommended numbers, but it was kind of a bit of a bigger group. But because it was outdoors, we had like the benefit of like a large open space. There was like the benefit of the sun that provides, I guess, antibacterial or antiviral properties. So getting outside can be a fantastic way to interact with families who are maybe not in your bubble. So that could be anything from going sliding. You can go for a walk or a hike, go to a park. And like, I know it's Canada. We live in Canada. We live in Northern Ontario. I get it. It's cold. It's winter, but you can just bundle up. And to hear me say that is a miracle, because I am not a winter person, but getting outdoors has really been such a sanity saver for us, and it's such a great way for us to socialize with people outside of our like immediate family, and to get a little more socialization for our kids, because they get to go outside and do those things like play a game or set up a rule or have to share things, and they can do that outdoors where it is apparently safer. All this being said, if you are worried about socialization, if you're really concerned that your kids are not getting enough socialization, I want to just reassure you that this is temporary. Your kids are not going to be weirdos and antisocial freaks because of COVID. They're going to be okay in the long run. Nothing that they are missing right now is not something that can't be taught later on. By not socializing right now doesn't mean that they are going to somehow become freaks later on. Think of it this way: the entire world is on like standstill right now. Everybody is on hold. Your kids are not going to fall behind on things. They're not going to become antisocial. Yes, I get that it is emotionally hard. And yes, I get that some kids are really craving being with friends. I know this. Alexi is my extrovert. She is like driving me a little bit nuts some days. I understand. But your kids in the long term are going to be okay. They are going to learn those social skills later on when they can be with friends, when they can be with family. It will come, okay? So your kids are going to be okay even if they are getting very limited socialization, because they are still socializing. They're socializing with you. And I think it's another thing where a lot of people overestimate how much socialization kids need, and they underestimate the importance of socialization that you can give them. So like in our household, our kids are socializing with each other. They're socializing with me. They're socializing with Stefan. They're watching interactions between you know, us as parents, between them as siblings, between us with each other, and that's all learning socialization. So socialization is not something you need to worry about in homeschooling. I don't even think it's something you need to worry about through COVID. Yes, it's tricky emotionally because you want to fill your kids' cups, and some kids want to be with their friends, and it's hard when you have to say no, it's not safe right now, or it's not allowed. In the long run, they will be okay. Well, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. I hope it gave you some inspiration and hope towards homeschooling and socialization and how to do that through COVID. I know it's a hard time for everybody, but we are going to be okay long term. Thank you so much for watching. If you like our video and you like the videos and the content that we make, please subscribe and click the bell so you get notifications. We put out new videos every week on Monday morning. If you want to see some of the things we do on a regular basis, some of our activities and our tips and tricks and us living our life as homeschoolers, please follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and we're now on TikTok. So thank you so much, and we'll see you guys next week. Bye.